In Windy Nook, a quiet village in northeast England, Mary Elizabeth Wilson hid wickedness behind a warm, grandmotherly smile. 4 husbands died under her roof. Neighbors whispered coincidences. Police later called it murder. Her charm masked a chilling truth. Mary spent years cultivating a reputation as a cheerful, helpful widow. She volunteered at church, hosted card games, and laughed easily. Yet friends later admitted her humor carried an edge. Dark jokes about husbands never lasting long. Mary married her first husband, John Knowles, during the 1910s. A quiet laborer, he adored her. The marriage seemed ordinary until John fell mysteriously ill. Mary tended him lovingly, but illness clung to him without explanation. John Knowles died suddenly. Mary cried convincingly. Neighbors later said, though her tears dried quickly. The doctor concluded natural causes. No one suspected poison. Mary wore black for only a week before returning to her lively routines. Shortly after John's burial, Mary received a modest inheritance. She joked that widowhood seemed profitable. Friends laughed nervously, unsure whether she was joking. The line would sound far darker years later when detectives replayed every word. Mary remarried swiftly, this time to John Russell, a widower seeking companionship. He believed he'd found a warm, nurturing partner. Instead, he walked into a deadly pattern. Within months, he complained of stomach pains that worsened mysteriously. Russell deteriorated quickly. Friends urged him to see a doctor, but Mary insisted it was only indigestion. He died before help arrived. Mary inherited again, and this time neighbors whispered aloud. 2 husbands, both dead too soon. Whispers spread through the village. Bad luck follows Mary, some said. Others murmured darker suspicions. But without proof, nothing could be done. Mary continued smiling, attending socials, seeming unaffected by tragedy, almost energized by it. Mary met Oliver Lees, a retired man with savings. She charmed him instantly. He moved into her home, a decision that would soon prove fatal. Mary was already familiar with the symptoms of natural death. Soon after moving in, Lees suffered intense stomach pains. Mary insisted on caring for him personally. She served him food, monitored his condition, and reassured neighbors he'd recover. Instead, his health collapsed rapidly under her watchful eye. Lees died abruptly. 3 husbands, all gone within short spans. Authorities noticed the pattern, but lacked evidence. Mary continued cracking jokes, calling herself the Merry Widow. The nickname stuck, haunting later trials. Mary married her 4th husband, Ernest Wilson. He was older, gentle, and trusted her completely. Their courtship was brief. Her motives far sharper. Villagers felt uneasy. Too many weddings, too many funerals. She joked at their wedding, "Don't eat all the sandwiches. They will still be fresh for the funeral." Ernest soon suffered the same agonizing stomach pains as the others. Mary fussed affectionately, bringing him meals. But he declined fast. By now, neighbors felt sick with dread it was happening again. Ernest Wilson died quickly, much too quickly. This time, officials didn't accept vague explanations. 4 dead husbands created a mathematical impossibility. An investigation began discreetly, with authorities digging into Mary's past behaviors. Authorities exhumed the bodies of Mary's previous husbands. Forensic science was advancing, and tests revealed suspicious levels of poison consistent with rodent-killing compounds. Mary's bad luck, suddenly looked deliberate. Toxicologists confirmed arsenic poisoning. Classic, painful, unmistakable. Mary had access to such substances for pest control. Investigators now believed each husband had been fed fatal doses, hidden within her homemade meals. Police confronted Mary at home. She didn't fight, didn't panic. She simply sighed, as though expecting this moment. Officers escorted her out as neighbors watched silently. The facade of the cheerful widow finally cracked. During questioning, Mary joked bitterly, calling herself the Merry Widow. Detectives noted her lack of remorse. She denied killing anyone, insisting her husbands were simply unlucky. Her tone chilled the room. Mary was charged with murdering at least 2 husbands. Despite clear patterns, prosecutors focused on the strongest toxicology results. Her trial captivated Britain. How could a grandmotherly woman poison 4 men without suspicion? Neighbors described Mary's dark humor and the identical symptoms each husband suffered. Doctors explained the poison's effects. Forensic experts dismantled her defense. Jurors listened, disturbed by how calmly Mary sat, occasionally smiling. Prosecutors highlighted Mary's morbid jokes, how she claimed husbands didn't last long, how she laughed at funerals, how she celebrated inheritances. These remarks, once dismissed as humor, now sounded like confessions. The prosecution laid out the unmistakable pattern: 4 husbands, identical symptoms, quick declines, inheritance gains. The method was poison. The motive was money. The killer, they argued, was Mary Wilson. The jury returned after brief deliberation. Mary stood motionless as the foreman announced her guilty verdict. Reporters described her expression as mild annoyance, no tears, no denial, only irritation at being caught. Mary received a life sentence. Judges condemned her cruelty, noting her lack of remorse. She left court quietly, escorted by guards, never again returning to Windy Nook, the village she had haunted with death. In prison, Mary remained disturbingly cheerful. Guards nicknamed her Smiling Mary. She joked about her crimes, saying the funeral home should have given her discount for providing them so much business. She never admitted guilt. To some officers, she seemed more amused than punished. By the late 1950s, Mary's health deteriorated. Age and confinement weakened her. Even as she grew frail, she joked with nurses that she outlived all her men. That macabre humor never faded. Mary Wilson died in December 1963, aged 76. She left behind no remorse or apologies, only a trail of poisoned husbands and a legend that still unsettles Britain's true crime history. In Windy Nook, older residents still recall the woman with the bright smile and the deadly secret. Her home remains unremarkable, yet locals say its walls remember every whispered warning missed. Mary's crimes highlight how charm can disguise danger. She weaponized trust, using warmth to conceal poison. Her case reshaped how investigators view patterns of repeated natural deaths within households. Mary Elizabeth Wilson remains one of Britain's most chilling serial poisoners, a grandmotherly figure who hid lethal intent behind a pleasant grin. Her legacy endures as a stark reminder: evil sometimes wears the warmest smile.
Like and subscribe for more true crime.